What we want to talk about on this particular video has to do with the charging system on a typical motorcycle. Your charging system on a typical motorcycle consists of three main components. One is your battery, the other is your starter, the third component is a rectifier regulator, and actually there may be even a fourth component. The fourth component is actually the stator or the generator, the alternator. So those are the four components of a charging system on any typical motorcycle. Now this particular motorcycle is a Roadstar 1600 V-twin manufactured by the Yamaha Star division, and this is a 2002 model, and when you compare it to the Harley-Davidson, it would be equivalent. This is a Softail model, by the way, so it would be equivalent to the Harley Fat Boy or the Harley Road King. But just to give you an idea, this was the largest production motorcycle in the year 2002. So to be comparing apples to apples with the Harley product V-twin that's pushrod activated, this would be considered a twin cam is what Harley's equivalent would be. And this V-twin also has two cams itself. But let's talk about the charging system. First of all, look at the advantages of the charging system on this particular bike. Now, one not so outstanding feature is the fact that the voltage regulator, which you're looking at right here, is right up front, and they're the same on the Harleys because the voltage regulator puts out a tremendous amount of heat, and that heat has to be dissipated. And the best place to dissipate that heat would be up front here on the down tubes in front of the engine. So what the voltage regulator does is essentially convert alternating current back into direct current to go back into your battery to keep the battery charged up. Now, here's where the differences are between the Harley charging system and the charging system on the Roadstar. Now, the Roadstar charging system, first of all, the starter is right here. It's located right in front of the engine, right before you get all the heat to the engine. So you're getting cool air on that starter. Now, the starter is located on the Harley-Davidson Fat Boy or Road King in this general area. It's on the opposite side, but it's right here. You'd have the oil tank, and to get to it on the Harley, you would have to remove the seat. You would have to disconnect and drain all the three lines: the vent line, the return line, and the in line into the oil reservoir, and then you'd have to drain it and take it off to get to it. And you'd also have to, on the Harley Fat Boy, which that year, 02, was a much smaller engine. The comparable V-twin was 1450 cc's compared to this Yamaha Roadstar, which is 1602 cc's. Now, to also get to the Harley starter, you have to take off on this side, on the primary side, the left side, you have to take off the entire primary cover, gasket, drain the oil to access part of the starter ring gear. Loosen the ring gear so that you can then remove the starter on the opposite side of this motorcycle on the right side. So on the Harley, the starter is located right in this general area, right behind the rear cylinder, which produces all the heat. So that starter's getting all of the heat off that rear cylinder. And temperatures on a V-twin Harley-Davidson 1450 twin cam 88 for the year 02 produces in excess of 400 degrees of heat output. So they run very, very hot. In fact, a lot of bikers you'll see have to have a heat shield on the rear cylinder of the Harleys. Not so with the Roadstar, even though it's a larger displacement engine, 98 cubic inch. But that's where the starter would be located on a Harley, as opposed to being as far away from the heat of the engine as you can see in this area. It's actually up front, in front of the engine. Now, another part of the starter, or the charging system, would be the what we call the alternator. Now, on this particular machine, it's located right here, in this general area, right behind that cover. And so it's ahead of the engine, where it gets all of the cold air prior to even being exposed to the engine. On the Harley, very inaccessible, they place it on the primary side right up against the hottest part of the engine, right there in that general area, which is right on the lowest part of the crankcase. So you get all the heat from the engine, and so these stators, they tend to burn out quite quickly on the Harley-Davidsons as opposed to this one, which we haven't changed yet. because it's out here and cool. So that's the main difference between the charging system on a typical Harley-Davidson as opposed to this air-cooled Metric V twin. Larger displacement, but we wanted to give you just really a difference so that you can judge for yourself when it comes to replacing these charging system components, the cost of doing so and the ease of access to get them to change out. So hopefully it's been an instructional video for you.